Well, we're here in Indy. We got in this afternoon. Excited to be here. The way that it works with the protocols. We were able to watch the selection show together, but then each player has to go into an isolation after testing in their own room for a certain amount of time. We've got another test tomorrow. I have to test negative on both of those. And I think wait a certain amount of time, and then we can get cleared to basically get back together and start preparation for the NCAA tournament. Guys were obviously extremely excited about last night and the opportunity to play for a conference championship and the opportunity to win a conference championship. Thought our guys really came together and played with great passion and energy. Sometimes you get in those moments and guys want to win so bad that there's too much of a anxiety or tension and that restricts you to play with great freedom. But I thought our guys, for the most part, really let their hair down and play. So here we are in Indy. Obviously, play Abilene Christian in the first game. Very excited about that matchup because they've got a heck of a team and what little I've seen of them. Got a chance to see some of the game that they played against Tech earlier this year. It was an absolute war, low-scoring game. I think Tech scored 50-some points. Very, very close game. And, just have a lot of respect for the way these guys play hard, first and foremost. They force a bunch of turnovers. They're really good on defense, well coached. And starting tonight, we'll dive into our preparation for them. But as I always tell the guys, whether we're playing, regardless of who the opponent is, it's an us game. We need to focus on us and making sure we do the things that makes Texas the best it can be. And if we focus on those things, and we like the opportunity we have.
Thank you, sir. I've got quite a lot of raised hands and a limited amount of time. So if you guys can limit to one question a pop, we'll start with Dustin, please.
Yeah, Shaka, you mentioned it. They turn a lot of turnovers, and offensively, it seems like they like to play through their big as well. Why are they so successful at turning teams over, and what have you seen from them that makes them so well sharing the basketball on offense?
Can I tell you in 24 hours? I mean, we
yeah, that's fair. You guys just got checked in, but I was going to rephrase, like, what's your kind of method of, like, when you see the bracket, what's the first kind of thing you do? Do you call a coach? Do you look at stats, or what? How do you get that kind of just the initial scouting report?
Great. So tonight, what we do, as soon as I get done with the media stuff, and our assistants are already working on this, is you're exactly right. We take a bunch of teams on their schedule that know them better than we do because they've played against them. And we get on the phone and we do, try to get what's called a verbal scout, which is just, listening to what they say about what Abilene Christian does on the offensive end, on the defensive end, and how best to counteract that. You always, you listen carefully to that stuff, but you also have to make sure that at the end of the day, you fold it into what Texas is trying to do, because another team's game plan, it might be for their style of play. Then obviously we dive in, head first to the video. We look at statistics. They play a lot of guys. So it's not a situation, well, man, if we really take this guy away, we're going to be, we got to do a good job on a variety of guys on their team. They also just, again, from what I know about them, they've got a bunch of guys that are very, very dangerous that don't necessarily average like eye-popping numbers in terms of scoring. They shoot the ball really, really well. So we'll dive into that video. We'll dive into the statistics. Nowadays, Dustin, I've already had two people send me statistical, analytical breakdowns on Abilene Christian that are not even part of our program. Like, there's all these people out there that do breakdowns. So we'll look at all that stuff for sure. But again, the one thing you don't want to lose sight of is it's about, Jericho Sims playing with reckless abandon like he did last night. It's about Matt Coleman, controlling the game like he did last night. It's about getting Andrew attacking defending with aggressiveness like he did on some of those possessions in the second half. That stuff's most important regardless of the opponent.
Brian Davis, please.
Yeah, Shaka, I wanted to ask you, this is kind of a big picture question, but the way Matt played in Kansas City, what you expect of him going forward, I mean, this is everything that you wanted him to be, it seems like, when you recruited him. What are you kind of wanting to squeeze even more out of him these next, hopefully, 3 weeks?
It's interesting, Brian, with Matt, because I've learned over the years, it's a balance between squeezing more, but then also letting him be him. Because did you see there was a play, I think it was in the first half, where he scored and then he ran back on defense and then he jumped up in the air like a deer, just kind of randomly. And he's done that before. And that's when he's really good, is when he's just playing with this joy and he's just so excited and joyous to be out there. Sometimes that is the opposite of squeezing. And so I'm a squeeze guy, like if I'm coaching me, squeeze the heck out of me, but he's not me. I'm glad he's a lot better player than I was. So you just have to be supportive of making sure he's confident, making sure he understands the details of the game that he needs to honor. I mean, I was kind of at his neck a little bit during the game when he threw that behind the back pass and had a couple other turnovers. So even in a 30-point game, we're kind of going back and forth, but we have that kind of relationship. And I think he knows that underneath everything that there is a foundation of love and respect. And we just want to get him attacking like he was last night, and he has been recently.
John High, please.
Coach, I know you have a young team, but they're also mature guys. How do you block out all the folks having them already in the Final Four without even stepping on the court yet?
Yeah, I don't really look at that stuff, but I'm sure our guys see some of that stuff. When I was at VCU, we would always, we would use that when people picked against us. But, then when people pick you, I typically ignore that stuff. But I think for our guys, understanding that, utilizing the experience that we have in the past, understanding that, when you play a team, regardless of who it is, what conference they're from, if it's in the NCAA tournament, they're going to be a really good team. And, obviously Abilene Christian, they're 23-4. Their numbers as a team are very, very impressive. They played Tech, they played Arkansas, extremely tough. So I think the first thing is just gaining a level of respect for the opponent, also a level of respect for us to be our best. We've got to do A, B, and C. And that's the teams that, advance here are going to do that.
Kirk Bowles, please.
Yeah, Shaka, I wanted to piggyback off of that. Like when you were at VCU, you knew about being an underdog and, expectations for those higher seeded teams. What techniques can a coach use to kind of keep your team loose and not get too tight before such huge games like the NCAAs?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Kirk, is making sure that as much as possible, we play through approach goals, which means we're going after something as opposed to trying to avoid a bad thing happening. Sometimes that's easier said than done, but, there's certain things that we promote in our program, like deflections, other examples of what we call EGBs, energy generating behaviors, that are things we can go after, things we can hunt. And I think if you have that type of mentality to hunt, to go after things, that can keep you from being all anxiety ridden about what might happen. Now, sometimes you get in the game, these games get tight, these games get really tense. Particularly if you're playing a team like Abilene Christian with their style of play. I mean, they kind of like Tech, they make it a grind, they make it tough. they're going to be really physical and aggressive. Then, you've got to trust your habits. You got to trust each other, making it about each other as teammates. And, just believe that, hey, we're in the NCAA tournament. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but if we stay together, stay with our process, then we've got a great chance.
Roger Wallace, please.
Shaka, you guys played a lot of games down the stretch and obviously a high level in that win streak. How do you keep the momentum with what you're going through, a week off, and the challenges you have just to get from today until game day?
Just focus on our process, focus on the areas of the game, again, that we control. We'll have some significant opportunity to practice. I don't know exactly what time we'll be cleared tomorrow, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to practice tomorrow, but certainly starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, getting on the practice court, working on the areas that make us the team that we can be. And I think if you put time and energy and effort into that, it's kind of like making a deposit. If you keep making deposits, then, when you need to make a withdrawal, there's an opportunity to do that as a team. But you can't skip steps. You can't have bad habits. You can't make assumptions. And that, is something our guys have done a good job of over the course of the last several games. But that doesn't guarantee you do it again. You have to stay focused on being in the moment and doing it now.
Cedric Golden, please.
Yeah, Shaka, you pulled the trigger on Kai Jones in the starting lineup, and boy, did he ever deliver. What does it say about being at the ready? Because he's had his ups and downs, but he just seems to be playing his best ball at the right time of the year.
Yeah, Cedric, I think he has really, really grown and improved as a basketball player over the last, 3-4 years. Obviously, a couple of those years being here. He's such a unique player because he's 6'11", but, like a lot of guys, he kind of fancies himself as a perimeter player. Now, he's been great about, hey, coach, play me at whatever position you want to play me at. I just want to be out there. So sometimes he'll play the 5 for us. Sometimes he'll play the 4. And really, when he's at the 4, a lot of those positions kind of run together. So the thing that he's done really well, Cedric, is, like you said, he stayed ready. We believed coming into the season that we had 6 starters, just the way that those guys practiced in the preseason. And we've believed that all year long. Now we have had the same starting lineup in most games for a variety of reasons. But, he's always had a mentality of, I'm ready. And, he was playing so well in the first half. I was trying to get him a break like 7-8 minutes into the game. He played 7 or so minutes and he's like, I don't want to come out. And I was like, just come out for a minute and I'll get you right back in. Unfortunately, he had some foul trouble, so he wasn't even able to play as much as I would have liked to play him, because I think when he plays with that incredible energy and spirit, man, he's going to be one of the best guys on the court.
Bob Lou, please.
Shaka, I actually want to ask you this from kind of a different angle of it. Is the emotion that you guys went through last night, it was a lot. I mean, it's more than probably you guys have gone through in a long time, just because of all the monkey off your back of winning a championship in the league and that kind of stuff. I'm curious how you get the guys to maybe come back down and level out before they play another game. And does it help that there are maybe an extra 2 days that you wouldn't normally have? You normally be going on a Thursday maybe and have to, the quick turn. Yeah.
We're going to kind of see over the next couple of days where the guys are at from that standpoint. To be honest with you, Bob, and not to disagree with you, because there was a lot of emotion last night, but there's been a lot of emotion for a long time, with our guys. There was a lot of emotion when we won the tournament in Asheville, the Maui Classic. There was emotion when we dealt with different issues with COVID and pauses and games being canceled. Obviously we had an emotional situation come up in our West Virginia game at home. So there's been a lot of that. I think you see that around the country. I got brought up the other day with my buddy Jawan and what happened with him. I just think people are on kind of high right now as it relates to emotion and what they want to do and how excited they are about this opportunity. So it's important for us to process the game from last night, move forward, understand that we are here in Indy now, and we do have a new mission, a new goal. Looking at the guys tonight, when the selection show occurred, I think that they see that and they get that. But I'll tell you when I'll know for sure is when we get on the practice court and the way that they approach practice, because they've been very good with that, certainly of late.
Starting to run up against the clock. I apologize. Got time for a couple more. Nick Moyle, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Shaka. Obviously, y'all were able to win in KC with, Courtney and Andrew not their best offensively. What do you want to see from those guys the next couple of days leading into your game against Abilene?
Well, two different players. I think Andrew helped us in a major way last night. Even though he was 1 for 8, 1 for 9, whatever it was. He drew Cade Cunningham's third foul. He got to the foul line consistently. He made every free throw, which ever since Andrew got here, I've always kind of felt like this guy's got the perfect free throw stroke. So it just boggles my mind when he misses a free throw. Now, he shoots over 80%. So trust me, I appreciate that. But him going 10 for 10 from the line last night, that's because he's that good of a free throw shooter when he's locked in and clear-minded. So he just needs to keep attacking. He missed a couple that, we certainly would love for him to take again. Maybe took 1 or 2 that was a little rushed. But, for Andrew, I think having a clarity of, I'm attacking, I'm aggressive. We need him. He's our leading scorer for a reason. He's our leading shot taker for a reason. We need him to be a guy that's very offensive minded. For Courtney, his game is so unique. I thought he did a really good job on the defensive end for us in both of these games, really all year long. We have this statistic where it's called points allowed, and he has consistently been below the number that we want to allow individually. And he's done a great job. And so it starts there for him. And I think on the offensive end, him just, understanding when to attack, when to shoot. I think he's passed some shots up that I would like him to shoot. He shot the ball really, really well this year. But, he's our guy. We're going to continue to have the ball in his hands when he's out there and have him attacking along with Matt and Andrew and the rest of our guys. So I think just playing with confidence is the biggest thing for both those guys.
Stephen Wagner.
Hey, Shaka. After last night's game, where Kai Jones, really stepped in and played some big minutes, and Brock Cunningham and Jace Febres both played more than 20 minutes and played, really, really well. But Greg Brown played fewer minutes of any other player who actually played in the game for y'all last night. Do you think about maybe adjusting the rotation moving into the NCAA tournament so that we see something that maybe looked a little bit closer to last night?
We adjust our rotation every game, to be honest with you. I mean, like you said, Brock played, I think I have it right here, almost 26 minutes last night. And look at how many minutes that he played in some of the, last several games before that. But he was playing great. I mean, Brock, when he gets playing like that, I call him the ultimate warrior. I mean, he got to be out there. Don't you guys agree? Like he has to be on the floor when he's playing like that. Jace was, along with Matt, probably our most valuable player in the Tech game, and Jericho. The way that Jace made shots, and that with that game being such a bloodbath, to 5 threes, that's a big deal. So Greg's a good player. We were able to spend some time together today. He seems to have really good clarity. the thing that I'm excited about is after that game was over last night, he celebrated with his teammates like we won a conference championship. And I don't take that for granted. It would be easy for another person in the very same situation, the very same game, to not act that way. So I think that bodes well for his future.
Last one, Wayne, you join us all the way from Richmond. I owe you time for one quick question. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Wayne, that's for the Richmond Times Dispatch. I cover VCU, and with this being the 10th anniversary of VCU's Final Four run, I just want to ask you, what are kind of your biggest memories now of that run, and how does that run kind of continue to stay with you in your coaching career, lessons of that year?
Great question. Hey, Scott, I can do a couple more too, because I know these guys got questions. My next thing's not till 8:40. Yeah, that was a magical run. I got a chance to talk to Joey Rodriguez on FaceTime. He was at a nightclub in Orlando last night at about 2 a.m. And I think he had a few. And he called me. He's literally in a club, like on a dance floor. I could see all the people. I could hear the music. I'm in my bed, like just looking at my, game tape. And man, just a one-of-a-kind group, one-of-a-kind leader. And Joey, at this point in that year, we had probably the most crazy selection Sunday, certainly that I've been a part of. And I mean, we didn't even know if we were going to make it or not. But that group really was in the moment. And that was one of those times where you just wish that you could press the pause button and soak it in even more. So it was a ton of fun. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years. But what's most rewarding about that, Wayne, is just the relationships with those guys. And there's several players from on that team that I literally text with every day. And that's pretty cool, just being able to maintain relationships with those guys and see them grow, and in some cases have families of their own, is pretty awesome. And hopefully, this is a team that every team has its own story in terms of the basketball part, but at least in terms of the relationships, hopefully this is a team that can be similar.
We have two more in the queue. Jeff Barker, go ahead.
Hey, Shaka, obviously this is a unique setup with the bubble this year. And if all goes as planned, you guys will be in Indianapolis for, quite a long time and away from home and all that. What kind of things do you plan on doing differently? And I guess just what is the plan to make sure guys, use the downtime productively, stay in the right state of mind, and all that?
Yeah, I mean, got a lot of ideas on that, but it's going to be fluid for sure, just based on, where we are and where our guys are, and just trying to really read them. I think as much as possible. And I want to credit the NCAA for, you kind of got a sense of it when we landed and when we came in here, just the enormity of the undertaking of making this work with 68 teams in one city, going to all these different venues and, hotel rooms and meeting rooms and testing and all that stuff. One thing that's a big deal is getting outside as much as we can. Right now, we can't do that because, like I said, we're in this isolation period. But as soon as we can, giving the guys an opportunity literally to get some fresh air, get outside, walk around, even if it's just in a confined space. I know we're not allowed to go take a tour of Indianapolis, but that's a big deal. I think maintaining connection as much as possible. These guys are so addicted to these things. I guess we all are, but trying somehow, some way to not spend 24 hours a day on a screen. That's for all of us. And, then I think allowing there to be some lightness and some humor and some, some time together. That's not necessarily us like grinding our teeth on what we got to do to scrape out, that extra basket. Certainly we'll spend some time on that, but if our guys, they're not all the same. Some of these guys, I'll tell you a story from yesterday. Jericho Sims looked like he was asleep at our shoot around. we had shoot around at 12, and he was just, he had some issues. He had some back spasms, so I think it took him a little while to get going. And I got on him pretty hard in shoot around. And the assistant coaches grabbed me. They said, "You want him to be good at 5, right?" I said, "Yeah." But, my thing is like, I want to be on all the time, but every guy's different, and he was as good as I've ever seen him. So it's just really having a feel for what each guy needs, what our team needs. Biggest thing is getting through this isolation period that we're in right now, getting our 2, hopefully negative tests, and then being able to, like I said, get outside some, start to practice, and, start to build towards the Abilene Christian game.
Last one to John Title, please, sir.
Thanks, Coach. I had forgotten, but 10 years ago, I assumed you just had won 15 in a row entering the tournament, but you actually lost 5 of your last 8 before making the tournament. So I'm wondering, this year, coming in on a 5-game winning streak, is the strategy or approach different at all, or is it just about the ABCs and doing things exactly the same?
Well, that's not entirely true. We struggled to end the regular season, John, but our guys played really well in the conference tournament that year. What we did before the conference tournament was I took one of those big calendar sheets, the ones that you put on your desk, and I burned the month of February because we had a tough month. And that, I think, symbolically really helped our guys understand that March was a new month. Every team's different. This year, our team had this unprecedented scheduling dynamic because all of our games that got postponed were road games. So we had to play a bunch of games on the road at the end of the regular season. Our guys handled it really well. I thought put some good deposits in. And then the conference tournament was unbelievably unique as well, in that we came in and played in the quarterfinal game, found a way to win somehow at the last seconds against Tech. Then we're getting ready to play Kansas. Normally you got to win 3 games in a row. Well, we end up playing Thursday, not playing Kansas on Friday, and then playing yesterday. So it ended up being a little bit more like an NCAA tournament situation where you play on one day, then you have the day in between, and then you play on the next day. We tell our guys, control what you can control. They did a good job of that. But again, as I keep saying, it's about being in the moment here and now. We've got plenty of time before our first game. So it's about our preparation mentally and physically, making sure our guys understand the respect level we have to have for who we play and how we need to play, and then going after it.